Why is African continent poor? The question have been asked in so many ways. Why is African countries poor? There is a lot of factors you got to look into why African countries are poor. One, the system of government and the style of government that decide what is poor when it comes to country by country basis didn't come from Africa. It's an invented way of defining poor, mostly, from capitalist perspective. Monetary wise, Africa is poor, but when it comes to actual resources, we all know the answer. Africa is the richest. The problem why Africa still remain poor now, it is hard to, you know, look back at the reason why, colonization and all that stuff. It is hard to look past it. But the reason why we are still poor right now at this very moment is self-inflicted. It have nothing to do with colonization anymore. Anybody that tells you that it's colonization, the person is shifting blame. South Asian countries went through similar. I have never seen a country like, for those of you that don't know, a country called Indonesia. Indonesia went through worst form of colonization by the Dutch, right? But they have mastered a way to make their country efficient in everything. That is why you don't see a lot of Indonesians in any country. You hear about Bangladeshi, Indians, Pakistans, Filipinos, but you never hear about Indonesia. And Indonesia is around South Asia, the same like all this country I just mentioned. But they have successfully keep originality of who they are and maintain their own way of growing their country, and it's been working. So average Indonesian don't really need to travel outside for better life. They have everything in their country. They are self-sufficient. I'm not saying they are perfect, but so far they have actually walked past any hurdle that past colonization have against them. So that Africa haven't done yet. African countries need to learn from Indonesia, right? It is a very, even though it's a predominantly Muslim country, but it's secular. They have the same vibe like Turkey. So, sorry to be honest. So, the Africa is poor kind of thing is because of self-infliction, bad leadership, inability to integrate within Africa. Africa is a massive continent. There have never been much done to integrate countries for Africans to trade within themselves. That's the problem. Europe is vibrant today economically, making money, growing, because somebody can go to work in morning in London, then in the evening he will see himself in Germany, and vice versa. We can't say the same thing about Africa. Just to travel from Lagos in Nigeria to Ghana on a normal where there is basic infrastructure, it's supposed to take like 4 or 5 hours, but on the bus it take a whole day. I have tried it, I have witnessed it. Visa, every African country is supposed to travel within Africa freely. Visa on arrival, no hurdle, but try to travel within Africa. Sorry guys, I'm hungry. After making this video, I'm going to go and eat, but I feel like making this video. I'm passionate about this. So, to travel within Africa with an African passport, you go through hell. Somebody with American passport can travel within Africa freely. All you need to do is just visa on arrival, pay the visa fee and keep it going. But for somebody with Nigerian passport to travel within Africa, you will go through hell. You see? I remember years ago when African countries made a meeting, said they're gonna open borders for movement of Africa. I know it's just lies. They're not gonna do anything. This was like 10 years ago. So that is another reason why Africa is poor. When there is no freedom of movement within Africa. You see, goods and services. There is no infrastructure, no attempts to build infrastructures. It's supposed to have roads, rail line from Lagos, Nigeria to Senegal, of rail line from Senegal all the way to Morocco, or robust aviation, robust travel, aviation services, but we don't have any of that. So, talking about Africa is poor, this is the things you gotta understand. It is never about colonization, what happened in the past. No, South Asian countries have moved on from that, and Africans should, because they went through exactly what we went through: slavery, colonization, poverty, famine. They went through all of those things, and they are leapfrogging to second world country, but Africans still stuck in third. So, yeah, my main fact about why Africa is poor is basically bad leadership within African countries, lack of freedom of movement within Africa. I'm not one of those people that preach for one Africa, one country, united. No, we can still be different countries, but freedom of movement should be there. Visa process should be faster. If I decide I want to open a business in Mali, I'm a foreigner. Everything, boom, boom. Once my papers is all right, visa approval, business, everything's supposed to be moving fast. But no, red tapes, bribery, all that stuff. That's exactly where Africa is poor. It have nothing to do with colonization. No more excuses. I know some of you guys will come on the comment section to disagree with me. That's fine. But the problem continues, because if you don't look in the mirror and solve the problem and keep pointing finger at people in Europe and America, the problem will continue. That's the video. See you guys on the next.